Me I no fit marry suffer love abeg, Amira said, flipping her braids and sipping her chilled zobo like it was champagne. You see this my hand? It was not made to hustle forever. I go love but if the man no get plans to fund my dreams, if it carry him vibes they go. Her friends burst into laughter around the plastic table under the shade of Mama Boza's buka. Lagos sun was hot that day, but Amira's ambition was hotter. She continued, her voice loud enough to turn heads, I'm not just trying to blow, babes. I want build brand. Big brand. Like Fashion Nova, but made in Nigeria. And not only one man fit help me reach that level fast, person we get capital and vision. No big fish you dey wait for be that, Bim teased. You sure say you no go end up inside frying pan? Amira grinned. Let the frying pan try me. He go burn. She meant every word. Amira was a rising star in the fashion streets of Sorale. Her academy, Stitch Queens, was already known among local influencers. She taught young girls to sew, hosted mini runway shows, and dreamt of launching an online store. But sewing alone couldn't buy her freedom. She needed backing, serious funding. Then Soji Adeyemo entered her life like a divine offer. Tall, dark-skinned, mid-40s but sugar-coated in class, Soji was the type of man who smelled of power. He owned petrol stations, a logistics company, and warehouses in Ibadan. When he walked into her fashion seminar one afternoon with his personal assistant and handed her his card, everyone noticed. I want to sponsor your dream, he told her. Let's talk business. And maybe, something more. Amira was stunned. That something more was a slippery slope, but her heart. Already half sold. Within weeks, they were inseparable. Soji showered her with gifts, new sewing machines, a brand new office space, and even introduced her to celebrities who needed custom-made Ankara gowns. Your designs deserve red carpets, not trenches, he whispered to her one night over dinner at Radisson Blu. By the third month, he asked her to marry him. That's when the red flags began to wave, but Amira ignored them. Her parents, retired teachers in Osun, were worried. Her father spoke calmly but firmly. If a man can divorce the mother of his 4 daughters just to chase a son, what makes you think you're untouchable? Amira rolled her eyes. Daddy, it's not like that. He said his ex-wife never supported his vision. He promised to make me queen. Her mother wept in silence. We gave you wings to fly, not to fall into another woman's broken home. But Amira had already moved into a 5-bedroom duplex far away from Soji's first family. The house was heaven, marble floors, AC in every room, staff that bowed when she passed. She was living like royalty. Soji called her, my sunshine, the queen of the future, and mother of my heir. The moment she got pregnant, he elevated the pampering. A personal driver. 2 maids. Weekly spa days. Maternity photo shoots. You're carrying my crown prince, Soji would say, kissing her swollen belly. But as the pregnancy grew, so did the expectations. Soji would place his head on Amira's belly every night, whispering, my prince. My legacy. My lion cub. And Amira would smile, resting her hand on his head, soaking in his dreams like wine. They went for the 5-month scan together, hearts pounding. The nurse squinted at the screen, smiled, and said, it's a boy. Soji leaped up, hugged the nurse, and even tipped her 5 crisp notes. He held Amira's hand tightly. You've done it, my sunshine. You've given me my crown jewel. After that day, everything changed. He sent the designer to redo the nursery in royal blue and gold. Bought tiny agbadas with Soji Jr. embroidered on them. Called his lawyer to begin drafting new succession plans. Invited 3 pastors to come bless the unborn child. He even told his driver, she's carrying the future CEO of everything I've built. Amira soaked it all in. She started dreaming differently, dreams of school runs in Range Rovers, mother-son photo shoots, red carpets with her brand and her baby beside her. When the contraction started, it was like the world paused. The housemaid scrambled. The driver flew her to the hospital. Soji came in with flowers and 4 bodyguards. Hours passed. She pushed, screamed, prayed, and finally, the doctor held up a child. "Congratulations, madam," the nurse said, gently laying the baby on her chest. "A beautiful, healthy girl." Amira blinked. The room felt colder. The nurse smiled again. "She looks just like you." Then silence. The door creaked open. Soji stepped in, expecting to see blue balloons and a son to name after himself. He looked at the baby. He looked at Amira. And he turned around. No word. No blink. No goodbye. Just the sound of his shoes fading down the corridor, and the sound of Amira's breath catching in her throat. The silence in the hospital room lasted longer than the pain of childbirth. Amira stared at the door, expecting Soji to return, maybe with a smile, or even a fake laugh. Maybe he went to get something. Maybe he needed a minute to process. He'll come back, she told herself. But he didn't. Not that evening. Not the next morning. Not when the nurses wheeled her out to the reception. And not when the doctor handed her the discharge form with an unpaid bill. The hospital accountant, with a pitiful face, leaned closer. "Madam, we didn't see your husband. You need to settle the 160,000 Nigerian nairas balance before you can leave." Her heart dropped. She wanted to say, "He'll be back." She wanted to scream, "Check his name in the news. He's a billionaire." But instead, she swallowed her pride and called her best friend, Bimp. Bimp rushed in with a baby shawl and sadness in her eyes. "What's going on?" Amira's lips trembled. "He hasn't come." Bimp looked down at the baby. "But she's perfect." Amira whispered, "That's not what he wanted." Bimp paid part of the bill with her savings. The hospital allowed them to go. Amira wrapped her daughter tight, kissed her forehead, and said, "You're not what he wanted. But you are everything I needed." The car dropped her at the estate gate where her mansion stood. Security guards didn't smile like they used to. She stepped down from the car, carrying her baby bag and hope. But before she could walk to the house, the head guard stepped forward. "Madam, Oga say make I collect the keys. The house done dey on sale since morning." Amira laughed. A weak, broken laugh. "What?" He nodded. "He send all your load go your people side." Her knees buckled, and Bimp caught her. "But I just gave birth. I don't even have pampers left." He shrugged. "No other way I get." They turned around, not sure where to go next. They arrived at her parents' house in Osun by nightfall. Her father stood at the doorway, arms folded. Her mother sat on the plastic chair with tears in her eyes. The compound was quiet. Amira stood at the gate, dusty, exhausted, and holding a baby that now represented shame to her entire family. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Her father didn't move. "We warned you." Her mother stood up. "Come in, at least let the baby sleep inside." But even she couldn't look Amira in the eyes. The room they gave her was the same one she grew up in. Her old posters still on the walls. But now, it smelled of failure. Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to cold remarks. "You go carry Bell for another woman husband, now see a life," one auntie mama during a visit. Even her younger cousin stopped calling her auntie. Now she was just that woman with a child. Soon, her father told her plainly, "You need to find something to do. We can't feed 3 mouths." So Amira began again. Washing clothes for neighbors. Pounding yam for parties. Plaiting hair for little girls. Fetching water from the stream for a small fee. And every night, after breastfeeding her baby, she would sit under the mango tree and cry. Not for Soji, but for the version of herself that she had lost. Yet in the midst of poverty, Zara, her baby, grew with a light no one could ignore. At just age 6, she had already memorized verses and led the children's choir. One Sunday, the priest asked a tricky Bible question. What did Jesus mean when he said, "Let the little children come to me"? Hands went up. Zara's voice rang clear. It means Jesus values children even when adults don't. It means we are part of his purpose. The entire church went silent. The priest walked to her and lifted her gently. This child is special. I don't know why, but God is saying we must sponsor her education. From that day, Zara's school fees were paid. The priest connected them to a foundation. Zara wore her uniform like armor. She read every book like it was treasure. And Amira. She watched, silently. The child she almost gave up on was becoming unstoppable. If you're still watching till now, that means you find our story interesting. Please subscribe, like and comment where you are watching us from. Now back to the story. The wind of change was coming. But Soji, he had no idea that the girl he threw away would one day hold the key to his survival. Zara's brilliance didn't sparkle, it burned. She was the type of child who didn't just answer questions, she asked the ones adults didn't even consider. At age 9, she built a cardboard version of a traffic light system using bulbs from her toy set and connected it to a battery. The local pastor called it divine intelligence. Amira just stared at her daughter like a sacred mystery. They were still living in poverty, small rented room behind the village dispensary. But Zara's mind refused to stay poor. Every school holiday, she returned with certificates. Best in science. Best in math. Best in conduct. Her teachers said if she was born in America, by now she'd be in NASA. But she wasn't. She was born in Nigeria. In rejection. In silence. And in a world that didn't clap for girls born without gold spoons. Amira watched her daughter grow with mixed feelings. She was proud, yes. But she also felt guilt for once believing Zara's life was a mistake. She used to cry in secret, but now? She worked harder. She returned to sewing, taking small jobs from churches and schools. She would sew Zara's uniforms by hand, stitching love and survival into every seam. Zara never complained. She walked barefoot sometimes. Ate soaked Gary with pride. Shared her pencils. And always thanked her mother with a kiss on the cheek and a whispered, "One day, I'll build you a mansion." That one day came faster than anyone expected. In JSS 3, Zara won a statewide science competition with her solar-powered mobile charger model. A top Lagos private school, Spring Valley Academy, offered her a full scholarship. Her mother almost collapsed from shock. The school flew them to Lagos for the award ceremony. Amira wore her best wrapper. Zara wore a simple white gown with a blue sash. When she stood on stage and spoke, the hall went silent. I was born to a mother who people mocked. But she raised me with love, strength, and prayer. And today, I promise to make her proud, and help other girls like me become more than just a sad beginning. Tears. Applause. Cameras. That was the day Zara went viral. Her speech made its way to blogs. A university tech lecturer saw the clip and saved her name. Meanwhile, across the mainland, Chief Soji Adiyemo's empire was burning. Bad investments in cryptocurrency wiped half his cash flow. His logistics trucks were grounded due to fraud among junior staff. 2 of his business partners betrayed him in a foreign contract deal, costing him billions. To make it worse, his first wife's daughters had all left the country. None of them wanted to inherit his collapsing world. One was a nurse in the UK. One was married in Canada. The others didn't even return his calls. Soji's once golden hands were now shaking with age and anxiety. He looked into the mirror one morning and asked himself, "Where is my heir?" But he remembered, he had walked away from that answer years ago. Back in Spring Valley, Zara was now in SS3, only 16 but already teaching junior students how to write basic code. Her curiosity had shifted to artificial intelligence. She was invited to a national robotics camp, where she led a team that built a smart irrigation system for northern farmers. Her model was published in a youth innovation journal. By the time university admission came, she got a presidential scholarship to the top tech university in Nigeria. Amera broke down in church. Not in sadness, but in praise. The child who once had no pampers now had a full ride to greatness. University was where Zara exploded. She didn't just learn, she led. She founded a student tech community. Won innovation grants. Built a waste management app that got the attention of an international NGO. By age 24, she had launched a logistics optimization platform that helped traders track goods in rural areas. The platform was picked up by a global tech firm, and her first $500,000 came in. She moved her mother into a mini-estate duplex in Lekki. Flew her to Ghana for her first passport. Hired a driver. Installed solar panels. And built a sewing studio in the backyard for her mother. "Mommy," she said one night, as they sat eating suya on the balcony, "I'm naming the fashion line after you. House of Mira." Amera choked on her drink. "Why me?" Zara smiled. "Because without you, there would be no me." But in that same city, somewhere in Ikeja, an old man with shaking hands, tired bones, and an unpaid hotel bill whispered into the phone. "Please. I heard there's a young CEO that helps struggling small businesses. Can I speak to her?" The receptionist asked, "What's her name, sir?" The man replied, "Zara Amira." "I believe that's her name." Zara moved her mother into a mini-estate duplex in Lekki. She installed solar panels, built her fashion studio, and named it House of Mira. One night on the balcony, mother and daughter shared grilled suya and sobo under soft garden lights. "Mommy," Zara said softly, "you remember the man who left you at the hospital?" Amera's face went blank. She paused, then nodded slowly. "I try not to." Zara stared into the sky. "Sometimes. I wonder what he's doing now. Where he is. If he ever thought about you. Or me." Amera's voice came low. "He only thought of himself." Zara said nothing more. Meanwhile, across Lagos, an old man sat in a dim corner of a cheap hotel lobby. Chief Soji Adeyemo. His hands no longer firm. His phone screen cracked. His shoes worn. The man who once sent others away now sat, waiting to be called in. He held a crumpled flyer of a tech firm that had helped struggling traders revive their business. The CEO's name was bold. Zara Amera Tech Initiative. The name scratched at his memory. "Amera," he muttered. "Where have I heard that name before?" He stared at the name for a long time, heart thumping with an unfamiliar ache. He turned to the hotel clerk and whispered, "Do you know where I can find this girl?" The boy looked up. "She's the one helping rebuild small businesses. But you can't just walk in." Soji forced a smile. "I'm not just anybody." But in his eyes, there was a flicker of doubt. And for the first time in decades, he wasn't sure he would be welcomed. The office of Zara Amera Tech Initiative was sleek and modern, glass walls, minimalist furniture, bold art of African queens on every wall. At the top floor sat Zara herself, in a silk blouse and smart trousers, her natural puff held up by a gold pin. She was speaking with her team about a rural logistics pitch when her assistant entered, whispering, "Ma, there's someone downstairs," elderly man. "Says he's here to apply for the small business support fund." Zara nodded. "Let him wait. I'll come down after this meeting." But something in her chest twitched. Did he say his name? The assistant hesitated. He said, "Chief Soji Adeyemo." Zara froze. Her breath stilled, like someone had paused her lungs. The name echoed in her mind like a long-forgotten lullaby twisted into a threat. She calmly dismissed the meeting, walked back to her office, closed the door, and stood still. That name. The one her mother never spoke again. The one on the hospital form they tore in half. The man who left them like old clothes thrown into the street. Downstairs, Soji sat in the waiting lounge, knees together like a schoolboy in trouble. He looked at the glass walls, the neat reception, the logo with ZATI in gold print. Zara Amira. Amira. His chest thumped. Could it be? No. It's a coincidence, he told himself. The receptionist looked up. "Sir, you can go upstairs now. CEO said she'll see you personally." He smiled. God bless her soul. He stepped into the elevator, unaware he was riding up into the courtroom of his own past. Zara watched the screen in her office as the security camera showed him walking out of the lift. Her breath caught. It was him. The same forehead. The same cold eyes. Just older. Smaller. Duller. She adjusted her blouse. Sat straight. Emotion. Gone. This was a CEO now. Not a daughter. He entered the office slowly, bowing his head. "Good afternoon, madam." She said nothing at first. Just looked. Observed. Measured. He cleared his throat. "My name is Chief Soji Adeyemo. I once ran a logistics empire, but life happened. I was told this firm helps businesses restart. I came to ask if, maybe, you could help me." Zara leaned forward slightly, folding her fingers. Her voice was calm but laced with power. "Tell me, sir, what happened to your empire?" Soji sighed. "People I trusted betrayed me. Children I raised abandoned me. Everything I built, gone." She tilted her head. "And your family?" He chuckled bitterly. "Family. I had 4 girls, but I wanted a son. I tried again with someone else, but it didn't work out." Zara's eyes narrowed. "Oh." He shrugged. "She gave birth to a girl. I left. Maybe I was foolish. But I was chasing legacy, not sentiment." Zara's heart pounded, but her face remained unreadable. She stood up. "I'll get back to you." As he nodded and turned to leave, she called out, "What would you do if that little girl became the only one who could save you?" He paused. Turned slowly. Their eyes met. And something shifted. His mouth opened, closed. Then he whispered, "Who are you?" Zara smiled faintly. "I'm just a reflection of your past mistakes." She picked her phone and dialed. "Mommy, you're needed here. Urgently." 10 minutes later, Amira entered the office, dressed in simple lace, hair tied in a scarf, still glowing with quiet dignity. She walked in, stopped. Soji turned. Their eyes locked. His jaw fell. And for the first time in his life, Chief Soji Adeyemo knelt down. Soji remained on his knees, trembling, not from shame alone, but from disbelief. The woman standing before him in that modest lace gown, with the same eyes he used to call sunshine, was no longer the girl he walked away from. She was a queen now. But her eyes held no softness. Amira did not speak. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She simply walked past him and sat beside her daughter. Her fingers gently touched Zora's arm. Then, without looking at him, she said, "Before I decide whether to forgive or not, you will answer me." Soji swallowed. "Yes. Anything." Her voice came steady, cold like evening harmattan. "Why did you do it?" He looked up, lips shaking. I thought it would be a boy," the scan said. She raised her hand. "So if it was a boy, we would still be married?" He paused. "Yes." Zara shifted slightly. The room held its breath. Amira continued, each word a hammer. "You sent my things to the roadside. You changed the locks on a house you said you built for us. You didn't pay the hospital bill. You left your daughter to suffer. You left me, your wife, like a dog in the street. Why, Soji? For a gender you couldn't control." He looked away. "I was under pressure. My board. My family. They all said." "Don't lie," she snapped. "Your board didn't enter my womb. You did. So again, why?" Tears filled his eyes. "I thought a son would carry my legacy. I didn't know." "You didn't know that a girl could carry fire," Zara said quietly. Everyone turned. Her voice was calm, but her stare was still. "You didn't know that the child you abandoned would one day sit in the seat you now kneel before." He shook his head slowly. "I was wrong. I know that now." Amira's hands tightened on her wrapper. "I don't need your apology," she said. "I needed it 12 years ago. I needed it when I begged my parents for shelter. When I pounded yam in strangers' homes. When I had to choose between buying diapers or eating." Zara stood now, tall and elegant. "We didn't bring you here for pity. We brought you here to give you one thing, truth." Soji whispered, "I deserve it." "Yes," Zara said. "And after this, you'll walk out. And whatever decision we take, will not be because of you. It will be because we decided to be better." There was silence. Soji broke down fully. "I don't want your money. I don't want a house. I just want to be part of your lives again. Please. Even as a shadow." Zara turned to her mother. "Mommy." Amira breathed deeply. Then stood up. Walked to Soji. Looked him straight in the eye. "You're not my husband anymore." Soji nodded. "I understand. You're not her father, not by blood. But if you want to earn that title, you will do what fathers do." "What must I do?" he asked, hopeful. She looked at Zara. Zara said, "You'll work. You'll serve. You'll sit quietly and learn what it means to build from nothing." He nodded eagerly. "Yes. Anything." Zara continued, "We'll place you under one of our startup partners as a field logistics worker. You'll earn basic salary. No titles. No shortcuts. You'll come in every day, wear the uniform, and report to someone younger than you." Soji blinked. "Deal." And, Amira added, "You will attend every one of our foundation's single mother outreach programs. You'll serve food, clean chairs, and take instructions." Soji lowered his head. "I will." Zara smiled faintly. "We are not punishing you," she said. "We are teaching you." He nodded. And Amira, standing tall beside her daughter, whispered, "Redemption doesn't come by crying, it comes by changing." Soji reported to work every morning by 7:30 a.m. No driver. No bodyguards. Just his aging knees and a backpack with bread and sachet water. The man who once commanded boardrooms now swept the warehouse floor. He wore a navy blue uniform with a name tag, Soji, Logistic Support. The younger staff whispered, "Now what? That's the old billionaire. He dey wear 1,000 Nigerian naira slippers now. Wonders shall never end." But Soji didn't flinch. He carried packages, labeled cartons, sorted deliveries. And when no one looked, he smiled. Not because he was happy, but because, for the first time in years, he felt human. Zara received weekly reports. She didn't treat him specially. She gave him assignments through supervisors. She paid his 65,000 Nigerian naira salary every month, same as every other entry worker. One Saturday, she visited a rural warehouse without notice. She saw him sweeping sand out of the corner, sweat dripping, back slightly bent. Their eyes met. He bowed. She nodded. Then she left. On Sundays, Soji served at the Single Mothers Outreach Program. At first, the women didn't know who he was. But one day, an old lady squinted and shouted, "Wait! Is that not Soji Adeyemo? That billionaire that dumped his wife because of gender?" Whispers erupted. But Soji didn't run. He continued arranging chairs, placing water bottles, and serving food. That day, he stood in front of everyone and said, "My name is Soji. I once made a foolish choice. I judged a woman by the gender of her child. I was wrong. Today, I serve because I want to be part of fixing what I broke. Not to impress you, but to heal me." A quiet amen floated in the air. Amira, who was there silently helping with the sewing training, didn't move. But later that day, she left a bag of new clothes beside his chair. He looked into the bag. Tears filled his eyes. Time passed. By month 3, Soji's skin looked brighter. His shoulders, straighter. The shame still lingered, but now, it was mixed with clarity. He no longer saw himself as the empire. He saw himself as a lesson. And slowly, people began to notice the shift. One afternoon, the head of warehouse pulled Zora aside and said, "Ma, I don't know what this man did in the past. But he's the most humble and consistent person I've ever worked with." Zora nodded, but said nothing. One Sunday evening, Zora called a family dinner. Amira cooked her famous ogbono soup with pounded yam. They set the table on the veranda under fairy lights. Soji was invited. He came in quietly, wearing clean clothes and slippers. His beard trimmed. His eyes clear. Zara handed him a glass of water. Amira brought out 3 plates. They sat, ate, laughed gently. Halfway through the meal, Soji put down his spoon and said, "Thank you, both of you. I now understand something I never did." Amira looked up. Zara waited. Soji continued, "Legacy is not about bloodline. It's about how people remember you after you're gone. And I want my memory to be clean." Zara nodded. "Then keep cleaning." They all smiled. And in that soft, quiet moment, the pain didn't vanish, but it finally felt shared. 3 years had passed since Chief Soji Adeyemo swept his first warehouse floor. Now he no longer needed to kneel to be respected. His humility had spoken louder than his title ever did. Zara had watched him closely, how he never asked for shortcuts, how he corrected other men who mocked women, how he helped startup founders navigate pain with grace. She wasn't just testing him. She was rewriting his character. And he passed. One Friday morning, Zara called a press conference. The media flooded her corporate HQ, reporters, bloggers, and young entrepreneurs seated in rows. Her face, glowing on digital screens, drew attention before she even spoke. Amira sat on the front row, dressed in rich lace and a girly tied like a queen's crown. And beside her, wearing a grey senator outfit stitched by House of Mira, sat Soji, silent, composed, and unsure of why he'd been invited. Zara stepped onto the stage. She didn't read a script. She simply said, "Today, I want to make an announcement. Not about a product. Not about a project. But about a man." The hall went silent. A man who once forgot who he was. Who once hurt people in the name of power. A man who judged others by gender, status, and pride. But that man has changed. She turned. Everyone turned. She pointed to Soji. That man is my grandfather. The room gasped. Cameras clicked. Reporters leaned forward. Soji's heart stopped. Grandfather. Zara smiled softly. Yes, he abandoned me before I had a name. But God named me. And God raised me. And now, I have chosen to raise him, not with revenge, but with redemption. She continued. This man now leads our fatherhood and legacy mentorship program, teaching other men how not to lose their homes to ego, and how to rebuild with love. She walked to him and handed him a plaque. It read, Chief Soji Adeyemo, Rebuilder of Legacy, Gatekeeper of Men. The room rose to its feet. Applause thundered. Amira stood up beside him, placed a hand on his shoulder, and whispered, You broke us once. But we built something stronger from the pieces. Tears rolled down Soji's face. Later that evening, at home, Zara brought out an envelope and placed it on the table. This is the full documentation of your business reinstatement. You're now 30% shareholder in Zoti Group's logistics arm. Not because of the past, but because of the man you've become. Soji opened it with shaking hands. Zara stood behind him, her arms crossed. From now on, the world will know this truth. A girl you rejected became the woman who rebuilt your name. Soji whispered, Thank you, for not turning your back like I did. Zara smiled. You didn't just lose a daughter, you almost lost your name. Amira added, And you're lucky the gatekeeper of your legacy wears heels and owns empires. They all laughed, softly, with years of pain finally folded into grace. That night, the family sat together under the moonlight. 3 generations. A daughter. A granddaughter. And a man who learned that sometimes the future you prayed for wears a different face than you expected. Moral lesson. Treat everyone with dignity. What you give out, good or bad, will always return. Did this story move you? Let me know in the comments. What would you do if this man was your gate man? Don't forget to like if you love African stories. Subscribe for more drama, twist, and heart. Share with someone who needs to hear this today. See you all in my next video.